Advertising today, and let me get back up. There I am. Welcome, and hope you enjoyed that nice little introduction I made today. That's why I didn't get a chance to do it. I decided, well, why not? We'll just create another introduction to this series or something that's a little thing. Let people kind of takes about a minute and a half, to help people get online and stuff to see everything. And here I am. So tonight we're going to kind of jump into things and get into the message because I don't want to mess around. And I got some great feedback from the series I've been doing on, especially the show that I didn't think anybody would watch because it was 2.5 hours long with 30 minutes of, what do you call it? Um, just talking in the live chat to people. And I did that. Well, that's because I did it that way because I gave you a lot to digest in part 13 of the Occult series on political wizardry. So you just need to feel free to break down the video into 42-minute segments where I have these black screens that pop up and I talk you and I tell you that I'm doing that, and stop, take a break, brush your teeth or whatever, grab something to eat, then come back and digest what's being said. And I'm thinking of editing this in 3 parts, but the problem of doing it in 3 separate smaller segments is that people will come in and they won't be able to follow a very important point that's kind of brand new. So I decided to do the 2.5 hour video with the 30 minutes of live chat added in. Well, why didn't again, like I said, I did it not to break up the flow of the theme on political wizardry. So feel free on the political wizardry video, to take a break and to then continue. And the reason I kind of did this is because in this way you can grasp that what we're all living through today and understand why you're seeing what you're seeing. Once it's exposed, because we're called to what is done in darkness, shout it from the rooftops. We're to expose it, okay? We're to expose it. So we will not fall for it and also be able to wage a more effective spiritual warfare against this stuff. I call it a spiritual warfare campaign against it, because I can't do it alone. I got to stir up the troops. And thus, together, we can help others recognize and expose the works of darkness as we are all called to do, and not have any fellowship with darkness, but expose them, as Ephesians chapter 5 talks about. This is the intent of this series on the occult. And whoever thought that the deep occultism is deeply embedded in politics, embedded, sold out to it, controls it. And yet you don't hear much about that aspect, but it is. And the evidence is overwhelming. And I will present more tonight, evidence on its overwhelmingness, so you can grasp the danger that we are facing. Because we're going to face a pushback. And it's going to begin with our kids, because they're going to go after the kids and try to train them up to be good little Maoist cultural revolutionaries. And that's the danger what we're looking at right now, because that's what we're up against. So whoever thought that the occult world was embedded in politics? So let's begin today's message. Today's message on collective amnesia, because that is exactly what they're doing. They're doing collective amnesia, and you got to ask, why in the world are they doing this? Um, uh, because, well, you got to realize we do have political wizards and warlocks and witches that meet at Davos, gather at prestigious foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation or some other prestigious foundation. They meet in the groovy grove of the redwoods or someplace like that. They meet on hills to do rituals on mountaintops and valleys. They gather in the deep woods. They perform spirit cooking rituals in houses or wherever they want, like John Podesta wrote to Hillary Clinton about back in 2015. And so what they're doing, they do this all in the name of love, and they want more power to reshape humanity into a well-ordered society based on new ideas, novel values you never heard of before, and you would reject outright because they're repulsive, innovative standards that wreck society, and brand new norms. And to get there involves producing a collective amnesia. You have to create a collective amnesia and erase memories of people. How do you do that? Well, I'm going to explain that today. This comes about by wearing us down with barrages of name calling, shaming, browbeating, threats of violence. Yeah, on a grandiose scale. And seen any of that lately, last 4 years. So you forget, reject common sense norms, religious foundations, national heritage, family values, erase your own history. You end up breaking down society. So collective amnesia helps create a new socialist humanity, because they have to erase these other things by shaming you, putting you down so you accept this. This is a form of brainwashing, this amnesia is. And they want to create a new socialist humanity so they can build it back, the world back better under the banner of a purified version of socialism, or a better said, a purified, glorious communism without all the totalitarian tyranny. But it'll be like a Plato's republic of a benevolent tyrant, benevolent oligarchy tyrant. So just there to keep the misfits in line. Well, fact, folks, this is a fact. Wherever Marxism, socialism, fascism has been tried, it always fails because it simply can't work. The reason is that people have memories, and due to the human sin nature, people will revolt against those that come against them when they feel like they're being forced into a cage. There's going to be a reaction, and they have plans for that. They plan to use that to their advantage to create whatever conditions they can to further their cause. But this does not stop these political wizards. These communists never sleep, and neither do the wizards who push it. They believe the theory of socialism, fascism, Marxism, totalitarianism is sound. It is the way to be. It's just that socialism failed because people failed the tenets of socialism. They just don't understand it. They need to have new values implanted in them, and by force. So all they need to do is adjust their techniques through the trial and error. If they fail, they just go at it a different way. Eventually, like I said before, the clay of humanity will be pounded by the iron law of socialism by mixing this with the lead from Shinar, Babylon, the occultic arts and dark arts. This will turn the lead into the golden-headed dream of a new order of peace and safety, a new order for the age, a new golden dawn, according to Crowley and all that. Today we're going to look at this in some detail. We're going to look at and read some documents. I don't have as many documents as I had before. And we're going to look at this, and you're going to see things, and I'm going to take a break and comment because everything is protected under the um, Copyright Disclaimer Act of Section 107, the Copyright Act of 76. Okay, I'm using for fair use to teach and report, and for education and research. I'm not here to sell it, so this is or anything like that. So this citation is to educate you and also give you some news about what's going on. So all I can do is put up the documents. I'll read, stop, so they'll be within the confines of that, and then I will talk about it. Okay, let's go ahead. I don't have that many, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, let's jump right into this. Okay. I go back to Alice Bailey, and people ask me, why do you go back to Alice Bailey? I can go to different theosophists, and why I chose theosophists, because theosophists is the brainchild and the brain trust of the occult world. They're the ones that lay out and plan, because the demonic world channels their plans in great detail to people, and it's usually theosophists. And there's various shades of theosophy. I don't want to get into all that stuff. But I use Alice Bailey because I found the Lord told me to check her writings out. I told the Lord I didn't want to do it, and then I started because other people did research and I saw some quotes. So okay, I got to find out for myself. So I couldn't. So what I did is I couldn't find anything. So I felt like all I had to do was type in using the PDF, because all these are over 70 years old and they're on public domain. All these PDFs are. They're out there. You can download them yourself. I don't advise it because it's devil enchantment that's going on. And someone asked me, "How do you read this stuff without being enchanted?" Because God told me to, and I understand something. I know how the occult world and I don't get along. And for very good reason, because of where I went when I died, and by God's mercy, and only by His grace, I'm back here. And for some of that reason is why I'm exposing this. And I'm not cavalier about it. I'm not charging into it. I approach it with a level head, and I just want to let people know how deceptive and sickly sweet these things talk, and how grandiose they make things, and how they talk people into things, and how they channel and lead people. And I chose the theosophy because I found dates in them and times and stuff, and I found I found their plan, and I was watching it unfold since I've been studying this since the early like 2000. I started earlier, but I couldn't really read it, so I picked it back up around 2012-ish, 13-ish, somewhere around there, and we took a deep dive into this because everyone else did it. Gary Wayne did it, and other people could read this stuff and maintain their sanity. And so I jumped in, and I chose Alice Bailey because the plans are so detailed, and they're happening before your eyes, and the dates were set, and things happened and transpired. Like I said last week, with a little review here, she set the date of 1975. So, so you ask, what in the world happened in 1975? That was a transition period when the 60s radicals and Marxists got rid of their flower power shirts and stuff, and like Saul Alinsky and others, and the Weather Underground people and stuff, who blew holes in the Capitol, things like that. They changed their suits and got involved in politics. Basically took over the Democratic Convention in 1968, so forth, etc. In other words, they began the march through the institutions. They started earlier, but this is when it went earnest. And they began a concerted effort to take over all the cultural mountains of influence in order to I call enchantment, brainwash people into a new way of think to help uh, erase your collective memory of who you are as a people and nation, in order to housebreak you to accept collectivism, because they believe in Marxism. Marxism believes that human beings, this is how I'm quoting from Marx and doing this from memory, folks. I'm just got to, and that's a long, but Marx thought that since there's evolution and all and human beings are animals, nothing but animals. You're just like Noah Harari. You're just nothing but an animal, just an intelligent animal. That's only different. And so all animals are, except for the predators. But even lions have prides and stuff. They have a little harem there, and so you have um, people are herd animals, and so they just so that means they were born naturally communist, collectivists. They live in this thing, they share everything, they share their food. When a lion goes out and the fresh kill, the pride comes up and they start tearing that thing up to eat. They bring several more carcasses in and they eat together. They share everything. And even their mates. And so this is what Karl Marx was thinking. This is how he came up with this thing, as far as I can tell, what I read about him. And so we were designed to be a species being, a herd mentality, and we have to get back to it. But due to the fall, because we are created in this material world, personal property and ownership and possessionship came in and destroyed this perfect utopic world of sharing everything. And so that human beings were destined to go back to this collectivist mindset. This uh, Marxism, communism, and stuff all correlates, like I said last last video in Political Wizardry, correlates to theosophy, Hermeticism. Okay, it goes back to the ancient pagan gods and the storylines. It all connects. They have the same goals, the same vision. They just say it in different degrees and different levels. They have the root race theory of theosophy, where you're in the mind of Lucifer. Lucifer's the good guy, and the demiurge came up and stole the tablets of destiny and grabbed these pre-existent human entities who were gelling in the mind of Lucifer out of his mind and threw them into the material world, and then split them. They were androgynous, so they split them and made them male and female, and into the material world. And Lucifer's the good guy who's going to come back and save you and help you rebuild the Garden of Eden to your liking on earth. And that sums up Marxism. It sums up the idea of progressive left, socialism, soft socialism, fascism, all the same thing. It sums up their thing. They want to get back to this collectivist mindset and shed materialism and get rid of personal property. Communism teaches that they want to seize the means of production. It's not that has changed. They want to control the means of production through fascist techniques. Binding lets you do your free market, but you have to be subservient to the state. But it's a limited form of free market, but it really isn't. It is monopolization of a group of people who get progressively wealthy and pay off the politicians. And they all scratch each other's back and make a fortune and get richer and live high on the hog while the rest suffer. And that is basically what Marxism and communism always morphs into. It never works. It results in communism result with over 100 million deaths, 2 or 3 billion people damaged by it, with all the totalitarian systems from ancient times all the way up. That number of 200, maybe 300 million people were probably killed through totalitarian systems all over worldwide, and probably billions and billions hurt, damaged by it. You know, it is a system that teaches that thievery, robbery through redistribution. Uh, they rob, they kill, and they destroy. They destroy all that's decent and good. They want to build it back better, this utopia, and they cloak it in nice sounding words like, we're doing this for your best. We're doing it for your peace and safety. You don't want any more wars if you go in your 15-minute city and do what we say. You'll live in peace and harmony, and we'll ensure that. Yeah, you believe in safety and all. Oh boy, you live in this perfect world. But they're at war. They're all at war with the Judeo-Christian God. They're all at war with Jews, Christians, conservatives, free thinkers, even atheists who disagree with them. They want to get rid of you because you pose a diametrical threat. Christianity is the most. And why? Because, like it says in Isaiah chapter 6, and some people have a hard time with this, that God says, come, let us reason together. God reasons with people. He really does. He'll let you make up your own mind, despite foreknowing how you make up your mind before you ever made up your mind. He'll still let you do that. So any sin is your own, okay? Making the wrong choice is your own. It's on. You can't accuse God of, you dragged me and made me do this. You got to, we can't get into the Gnostic determinism that crept in, and Plato's Republic that crept into a large segment of Christianity and destroyed a large segment of it, which led to a lot of these places going woke. And, it's beer and barbecue on Monday through Friday, and you have your Bible study at the same time. And everybody leaves out there not drunk on the spirit, but drunk on beer or whatever, So, so everything has been topsy-turvy now. And so they have a plan. And like I said, the political wizards want to create this utopic world. And they want to do it through uh, uh, collective amnesia. They want to force a collective amnesia on you. So with that, I'm going to start reading Alice Bailey and explain how all this works. Okay, let's go. In Rays and Initiations, Alice Bailey, on page 47, I forgot, it's a PDF version. It says, men of goodwill everywhere, under the guidance of the new group of world servers, will organize themselves into battalions of life, and their first major task must be the development of right human relations through the education of the masses. So they want to re-educate the masses. You're living in a material world. So we have to have this critical Marxism. I learned it in college as critical systems theory. and And so what you do is you take a system, a business, a corporation, and you deconstruct it. And so like Mr. Lindsay, James Lindsay would say, you take the automobiles, they cause accidents. So you want to stop accidents from happening, so you have to get rid of automobiles. But that's not going to do it. You have to in order to ensure you get rid of automobiles, you got to get rid of outlaw all the products that run the automobile and make the automobile. So you have to get rid of all metals. No more metal making, no more engine making, no more petroleum-based tires, no more petroleum to make polyester or whatever material you need for clothes. No more of that. And so you have to get rid of gasoline, and so you have no cars. And if you have a battery operated car, that you can't have that because it takes metals and all the stuff to build it. And you can't have computers because computers use plastic components that come from there. And plus so therefore you solve the problem of kids watching too much TikTok. You solve all the world's problems by getting rid of everything. So you come back to this nice collective hive around the tree and doing whatever you want to do with everybody else in this collective hive. You become a pure species man. So they solved all the problems. You reached utopia. However, it doesn't feed you and you can't eat. And even the farm implements need some of these materials to help produce food. No wonder communism produces large-scale famine. Just thinking about it. So this is how they think. I mean, they deconstruct everything, and 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 I pulled out of the hat my system analysis was to be a dyad. I mean, a dyad, which is I said, oh, I do a husband and wife, and so I based it on men is from Mars and women are from Venus. And I used some of the documents from that book as well as other documents, and as well as my own experience. Men and women do think different, but I wasn't supposed to do that. I had my class in stitches in my presentation. I mean, I thought, man, I aced this. And my professor sat there steaming, said, Mr. Melvin, there is no difference between men and women. Therefore, I'm failing you in front of this class and to show everybody that there are no differences in male and female. You are wrong. And so I got an F. I worked up real hard to get a C. I was flushing at a D for a while. That guy had it in for me. Okay, I'm just telling you, because I would not go along with what he was saying. I deconstructed his deconstruction. I proved that men and women think different, and we blend together, we gel together, and that's how God made us. Basically, he didn't want to hear that, and so I've been at this for some time. Okay, anyway, so listen to Alice Bailey again. Let's jump into this again. They want to teach right human relations through the education of the masses, through brainwashing techniques, through control of the mountains of influence. This means the paralleling development of an enlightened public opinion, which is speaking esoterically, the right response to the sound which conveys the will of God or Lucifer into the ears of the attentive. Then humanity will indeed move outward from the desert and leave the seas behind and know that God is fire. Lucifer is a purging fire. He's going to purge you of your materialism. He's going to purge you from capitalism. He's going to purge you because all these just take from others. You Americans and Western Europeans, I know they blame Americans. You plunder everything. And most of the stuff that we got came from our own country, and we also help enrich other nations by trading with them and so forth, etc. And people I can't help how other people do their governments, but we prospered. So now, since we prospered, we're the bad guys. We are the oppressors who took from all these people. So now it's open borders. Come on in. Let's level the playing field. Let's have equity. Equity means socialism. Equity is a term that is in Marxist ideology actually means socialism, equity through socialism, redistribution. That you do, the people will come into your country and you have to pay back the damage you did for taking from a rubber tree plant your ancestors did a long time ago in some other country. So you have to pay for your crime of being prosperous. So you have to be made equity, just equally as poor as the rest of the third world is. And we'll have equity, socialism living, and you will evolve eventually into a new Soviet man. A Soviet man means controlled by a Soviet commissar or council of people who are your bosses, are the corporate elite. In other words, you become a stakeholder. You're not a stakeholder. They are the stakeholders. They represent you, and they tell you how to live. And they'll tell you right human relationships. You got to accept this perverse idea to prove that you're loving and kind. You got to accept storybook hour in the library with these people who dress weird. You got to have them in your churches, or you're not loving. And if you don't, you're not going to get anything from us. You're going to be ostracized, and we might even protest violently against you and threaten your family until you comply. We see this in the book of Revelation, where you have to receive the mark, or you can't buy, sell, or eat, and you got to worship the beast. They got you. When we're almost at the point where they got you. They got AI online, they have digital currency coming on, where they got you. That can be implemented quite quickly. This is how close they are. And the occult world works through the realm of politics and government to guide everybody to a new Eden. And they get there, just like Alice Bailey said. They have a group of world servers in all the cultural mountains of influence and organize themselves into battalions of life. Their first major task is development of right human relationships. They're going to tell you what's right through sitcoms and TV. And they'll have, like, I was watching The Rings of Power, and season 2 started and it was going well, and all of a sudden this character come on, and they ruined everything with the homoeroticism that popped up in it. It was like, it's still a good series, but man, why'd you throw that in there? You don't need that. That is teaching you right human relationships. You got to accept that to prove that you're a Christian that really love everybody. You would love them too. Well, that doesn't mean I accept their sin. Okay, because there's consequences to that lifestyle. There are consequences, and many have died from the consequences. Suicide is one of the consequences that they don't want to talk about. Transing into another species, high suicide rates. Okay, and that's what the esoteric world wants. They want population control, so why not? Just another ends to justify the means. And so out of compassion, I want to help the people come out from the darkness and into the light of Jesus Christ and get saved, set free from this lifestyle, and be free from trying to commit suicide. So that makes me the bad guy. Okay? But these people just want to accept their behavior in order to reduce the world's population. Now, what I'm saying here, not everybody of that lifestyle is going to commit suicide. I'm just saying a large percent do. I'm just saying. But and there's various factors and stuff that go with it. I don't have time to get into all that. But but you got to accept strangers coming into, and they want to knock on your door and say, you're going to have to let these strangers who entered the country illegally live in your house. You have 3 or 4 bedrooms, so you can do 3 or 4 families. It's equity, man, socialism. They did this in communist Russia. It doesn't work. Everything collapses. People lose the incentive to work, and nobody works, and the whole system collapses. It eventually will, but they have to blend it like, I want to call him Dung. It's a Chinese guy that came after Mao. Dang or Dung or something, or Dung, I can't remember his name, came in and created a new form of the CCP by blending fascism, which allows corporations to bundle together and monopolize along with the government, and they work together. They scratch each other's back. That way they can prosper the country, take over economy, so forth, etc. That's the blend of that is. And so Alice Bailey, they say we need to teach right human relationships even to the communists and the fascists. We have to get rid of the bad elements of control freakness in these organizations and create a purer form and through conflict and synthesis will come out with a pure form of communism. That means a good communism. It really isn't good because you use the same methods of enforcement and totalitarianism. And what do? You have to enlighten public opinion to accept it through education, and you do it through the media. You want to erase them and tell them that how you lived your life in the past is bad. You rode your bike without helmets when I was a kid, and that was bad. So you're going to have to pay everybody's helmet tax because you never wore one. I mean, these people are nuts. They think of anything to try to right the wrongs of the past or whatever. And so they want to teach you right human relationships. That they have a superior narcissistic love is love type thing, a love of self, a love enhancement, of pampering yourself or whatever. And you're so spoiled and oh, your feelings are hurt. Oh, you're offended. So you have all the rights to take everybody else's rights away because you're offended. Heck, when I was offended, you either took it and you walked away from it or you got in a fight. And you settled the matter one way or another, or you debated it and talked about it and you walked away later as friends, whatever. You took care of the offense. You didn't, and you also forgave and forgot and moved on. You learned that in life. They don't teach that in Marxism. They teach revenge. Crush them. They hurt your feelings. They disenfranchised you. They borrowed from your culture and they dressed like you on Halloween, and you stole their cultural what do you call it? It wasn't cultural appreciation. You stole from their culture. You're a bad person. You're a racist. You're a bigot. We got to deconstruct you as a human being. We're going to beat this into submission so you become a new Soviet man. But we got to erase and put through collective amnesia to forget who you are as an individual. Everything you learned in your past and your family is a system that teachers oppress. And you have to have that erased out of your mind through this collective amnesia beaten into you. So the clay is blended with the iron, okay, of the Daniel statue, okay, and mashed together and blended with the lead of the occult world of Shinar, Babylon, that's seen in Zechariah chapter 6. And through that, you create the gold, lead to gold. Occult works into gold headed dream. A golden headed dream of Nebuchadnezzar describes 4 kingdoms which parallel for the last days. The golden headed dream of world domination, of oneness and unity and all that under one guy who rules through a ruling oligarchy. Then the silver was redemptive, and silver is that we're looking out for you. Silver also you had the right and left hand. The Persians were the strong arm, and the Medes were the left hand. They did the dirty work, the satraps. All these people came into their country and they were slaves, and now they're eating too much, and we've got to do something. So you're going to be merciful and allow them to go back to their own country. We have Cyrus's seal that tells that they even sent the Jewish people back to their own land because they're getting too many of those people in. Oh, deported them. Okay? Because that was merciful, kind. And so you're this golden-headed dream is with this redemptive reality. We're doing this to liberate you, to get you back to whatever you want to be. Okay? And then this is done for the bronze thighs, which represents Greece. And Greece wanted to Hellenize the world. I have a common language, one mind, one people. Okay? And that was the idea of the Grecian thing. And so then the Roman Empire came, and it was the iron, pragmatism and law. And so and also diversity. and pagan religions, and anything goes. Okay, a very debased society, also very patriarchal, um, and they had laws and stuff like that, and so the iron represents laws and stuff like that. The Antichrist is going to do what? Change times, seasons, and laws. Okay, and change laws, to break laws, to crush the clay. The clay are the people, and they're going to use political wizards are going to be meeting and doing conjuring out of their lead box. The lid's off now, and so they're from Babylon, from this place. All the occult works are out loose, and they're going to reach the golden-headed dream of this one world religion, one world government, this one world everything. Everybody lives in peace and harmony, a return to being a species being, a herd person, a collectivist, a Soviet man, a Soviet woman, ruled by the great men of the earth. They are their stakeholders. They provide for you. You are a cell in a body. Okay, I did this cell in the body. You're not allowed to move out of there, out of your respective place. You're living in your 15-minute city. You're doing out to look for you. You can hang out with the cells around you, but nobody else. And we're doing this for your peace and safety, so there'll be no more wars and so forth, etc. And the bodily organs are the institutions that keep you alive and feed you and take care of you as long as you stay in that cell and don't try to move or become anything, because that's all you are. I want to keep you there and get rid of you when we need it. Okay, so that's the idea. And the nervous system is the common soul, or the communist. It's the socialism, so forth, etc., that gives life to the organs and tells the cells how to live. And then the brain, it represents the political wizard class, learning everything and gelling with the hierarchy, the demonic spirits, through some sort of connection, either astral projection or however they connect with them, and that'll govern them to govern the Communist Party in a pure communist to make this whole thing walk. But you got to have heart. You got to have the heart of the Antichrist that will pump the blood of a united Antichrist spirit into all parts of the body to make this Hummer work. And so they do this, and they teach this through enlightened public opinion. They want the will of Lucifer to the ears of the attentive. Then humanity will indeed move outward from the desert, leave the material world to see behind, and know that God is fire, purging them for a perfect spirit world, into pure spirit being. Let's continue. Education of the New Age, 1954 edition, page 55, PDF that's on public domain, she says, we have now laid the ground for consideration of the three sciences which will dominate the thought and educators in the coming age. Building and development of the power to control life and to work white magic through the science of meditation. This has infiltrated all kinds of things. Have you noticed since about the 1960s, especially from 75 onward, in the early 2000s, this really picked up. You have yoga in churches. You have meditative practices, libraries or mazes, and people walk in these gardens and prayer maze and whatever. And they don't realize that maze is set up as a conjuring portal for the occult world to work through so you can connect with something. It's all about mindfulness. It's all about becoming a better you. It's all about you. It's all about your self-improvement, and it's all about you, and it's all about self-love, because you're so loving and kind, and look how great you are. You fit into everything. You fit into the narrative. You love everybody. You do everything that's profane. You allow it to happen, and okay, I think you get the picture. To meditation, and also the science of service, whereby group control and group relationships are fostered and developed. These are the three fundamental sciences which will guide the psychologist and the educator of the future. Okay, so you have where group control and our conformity and group relationships. This is Marxism. This is socialism. This is communism. This is fascism. This is progressive leftism. This is the left. This is AOC. This is Bernie Sanders. This is Keir Starmer over in the UK. This is who they are. Okay? They want group control, teach you group relationships that are foster and develop. These are the three fundamental sciences will guide the psychologist and the educator of the future. So the psychologist will look at your social upbringing and your emotional state. Okay, and they use a thing that I learned that actually worked, SEL, for one time, but they changed it into something more diabolical. And SEL, they use SEL with highly abused children. They look at their social. I did the social histories of these people, and they were abused or neglected. You have that, and then you take that information and you look at their emotional development, and you want to bring them out. SEL. I can't remember what. And learning, social, emotional, and learning score, and you give them a score, and the psychologist will use usually behaviorism techniques are who's that famous psychologist that worked with kids, and I can't remember his name, and use these techniques in order to break down the cycle and free the child and get them emotionally stable again, but communism has crept in and call it castle. They call it different things now, and now they're into schools teaching a behaviorism model through group control. Look again, I'll explain this. The group control and group relationships. So if you want to be attached to the group approves of this behavior. The teachers teach what is socially acceptable, which is the Dairy Queen hour in school, and if you feel like you're chicken one day, then you are a chicken. If you feel like a cat, we'll get you a litter box for you to do your business right in front of everybody. If you think that you are the opposite sex, you don't have to tell your parents. You'll get neutered right away. Go right there and take the bus down to you don't have to worry about it. Your parents have no rights over you. Okay. And so the kids learn all this stuff, that this is okay, this is cool. Boy, everybody's doing it. Everybody's this way. I saw it on Disney. Everybody can do this. Oh, kiss that girl. So this girl kisses that girl. That guy kisses that guy. Oh, that's cool. Everybody's like this. Wow. And so the kids are groomed. So society, through group control, what group relations are, foster and develop. These three fundamental sciences will guide the psychologist and educator of the future to create the perfect utopic world. And they do this to break down the society and destroy God's order and design in order to build it back better. And you don't know that. They're teaching the collective suicide of a country, of the world, because all they can do is produce death and destruction. They can't produce anything else. They take other people's money and sponge it and ruin it. But if they can take over the world's economy, go to digital, and get rid of over half the world's population, then might make it work, okay, for a little while, because only they know how much money they have, and they can fudge the books anytime. That's how it works. That's how the cookie crumbles there. Oops, wrong slide. These also will cause a radical change in the attitude of parents toward their children and in the methods which they employ to train and teach them, in which they are very young in the formative years of their consciousness. They want your children young. They want the SEL communist version of it, castle version of it. I don't remember what the castle acronym is, CA. I don't know the acronym. I know SEL, but they wanted this communist version of it. They want it taught. Okay, they want it taught in the formative years of their consciousness. So they'll make cultural Marxists. They want to create a cultural revolution like Mao did we are in the on the precipice of that in the United States. UK, you're in it right now. You're in a Maoist, communist revolution to get rid of your cultural identity, your national heritage, your history has to be erased. You have to accept this collective amnesia, or we'll punish you because you have to be a new socialist person. You have to be a communist because that's what evolution teaches. You evolved as a herd. You're just an animal. You're a hackable animal, as Noah Harari says. Let's keep reading. On page 79 of Education in the New Age, Alice Bailey, page 79, on online PDF on public domain, reveals how to take captive the collective mind of humanity through various means of education. And I quote, "There are steps in which humanity must take, and only a new type of education and different attitude to the educational process imposed upon the very young of every nation will enable mankind to take them. A new cycle of experience of psychological development and of new educational process is imminent." She wrote that. I can't remember when she wrote it. It could have been in the 30s or whatever. This is why these entities were channeling to her and gave her dates like 1975 when a lot of this began. And around 1992 and 4, when I was in college, I was an overage student too. I dropped out. I didn't go when I should have gone, but I came back and went later. And so I was in on social work. Social work wasn't social work. It was communist. It was to be agents of social change. In other words, to be change agents, to be, that was the phrase back then, and community activists. And that's what you're supposed to do, aggravate the community for social change. In other words, destroy the system, burn it to the ground, and acquire power. And I always ask my professors, who and what are we acquiring power to? It ain't to the people we're helping. It ain't to us. Who are we helping? It's the cause. It's the revolution. What revolution? How does it work? What are you talking about? They didn't like me, but they loved debating me. And I got good grades in every one of those classes, A's and stuff, but except that one. And so they go for the very young to teach them to how to be good communists. So you grow up and does your parents read the Bible? Oh, they write it down. So when the Cultural Revolution happens, they can go get rid of your parents. So there'll be a new what? Okay. There'll also be in the bottom paragraph, this will also cause a radical change in the attitude of parents toward their children and the methods in which they employ to train and teach them. The state will teach them. And if you teach them wrong, they'll come after you, and the kids will be there throwing you in jail because they've been indoctrinated. That is where we are headed right now. This is going to be the great push. It will be in education. So I pray that President Trump will get rid of the educational system and purge it, the Department of Education, and purge it and get rid of this garbage to stop it while we can. I pray that in other countries that can be happening, because you've got to put your foot down and draw the line and say, no, you're stupid. I don't care how offended you are, you're dumb to believe that communism works. You are stupid. No, I don't accept it. You want to judge people by race? Then you call me a racist because of the color of my skin. When I don't judge anybody by race, you are the racist. I don't judge people by skin color at all. Never did, never will. So when you judge somebody and teach people to judge people and make judgments against their skin color, you're a racist. I grew up in a time when there were race riots. I know all about that. I know what real racism looks like. I lived in Virginia. I took trips to the South. I understood it. I grew up in that environment. I hated it. And our classmates hated it. We had a teacher that was a member of the KKK in high school, and people tormented that guy, slid his tires, let the air out of it, scratched his car up. We did all kinds of things. We didn't like these people. We don't like them. And because they cause trouble. They're jerks. Okay? And now we have jerks on the other side. No different. All they're doing is they don't wear a hood. They have their grand wizards too, we don't call them that. They call them what? The political wizardry. warlocks, the occult world, so forth, that are involved in politics. Okay. And a new cycle of experience of psychological development and a new educational process is imminent. Here it is. Let's keep going. I'm not going to take too long on this. Well, how do they plan to do this? In Education in the New Age on page 746, Alice Bailey explains how. This is on the online PDF, public domain. We need also to realize that we must do two things. We must place the emphasis educationally upon those who are under 16 years of age, and the younger the better. And secondly, we must develop new attitudes and techniques which will fit a child for complete living, and so make him truly human. What she means by truly human is a socialist man or woman, a communist, a Marxist, a Soviet man who's controlled by the Commissar, the governing council, the stakeholders, the Schwab and all those people, or great men of the earth, will govern you, okay? Truly human, a creative, constructive member of the human family. The very best of all that is past must be preserved, but should only be regarded as the foundation for a better system and a wiser approach to the goal of world citizenship. So what she's saying here, well, we don't want to exactly destroy the past. We want to preserve it because the past represents materialism. Look what capitalism did. It cut down trees. It destroyed the planet. It did this and did that. Well, capitalism also, we have more trees now than we did before, and then all this stuff happens, and we have technologies that can scrub the pollutants out of coal factories that produce electricity. We have the technology through capitalism, not through socialism. So we have innovative ideas that can solve problems through competition. You don't. And so what are they saying? We have to look at the past. Capitalism, bad. Family values, the family system, patriarchal system is bad. We're going to deconstruct it. We're going to look at all the flaws, point those out, that it's racist, you're a bigot, the same old Charlie horse thing they always get you with, and to try to get a rise out of you. And so they get a reaction, and so you are a racist, so forth, etc. They do all this stuff, and they want to get rid of your family values, your national heritage. They don't want to remember it to say this is evil. So you become a good world citizen, a communist man. You remember the past only and you've been brainwashed. Your collective amnesia set in, and you've been brainwashed to think that all these things that they beat into you is bad. How I used to live and not ride a bike with a bicycle probably was bad, but we didn't have helmets back then. Motorcycles that guys had helmets, but anyway, you didn't have that, and we played football pretty rough, sandlot football. I preferred baseball more than football, but anyway, and we're a rough and tumble bunch, man. I'm telling you, we. And our parents at that time will go, let's get rid of the kids, go out and play all day and don't come back until dinner time. Oh boy, we're out free for hours. And we'd raise all kinds of heck and did all kinds of things. And in the evening, we try to mosey back home and we hear our mothers or dad calling, Brian, Jeff, Rick or whatever, come home. And everybody goes back home and in an instant have to take a bath. I don't want to take a bath and all that stuff. Um, they want to erase all that. They want to erase, and the experts, the psychologists, not real psychologists, but whoever they deem, will be your teacher. Your experts will guide you. This, how you lived in the past, is bad. The freedom you had, the freedom to speak your mind, is bad. Free speech, bad. You will offend somebody. You offend somebody, that's the greatest crime you ever committed. You'll never be forgiven of it, so that free speech has to be erased. That's bad. So remember the past because it was bad, so you become a what? The very best of all is that the past must be preserved, but should only be regarded as a foundation for a better system, communism, and a wiser Marxist approach to the goal of world citizenship of a new Soviet man, woman. Isn't it nice to have interpretations for this stuff? Education in the New Age, Alice Bailey on the 4748 online PDF. New education will consider a child with due reference to his hereditary, his race. Okay, that's what that means. We're going to teach children about race, the color of their skin, hereditary. Also, your environment, your social environment, hereditary. You grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. You didn't grow up with a silver spoon. You were a poor child, but your poverty, you were rich compared to these other people in the world. So we got to consider your heredity. Maybe we look at you, we dissect you through the critical lens of Marxism and saying that because you had it like this and did this, you are systemically racist and you can't ever change because of the color of your skin or your hereditary or how you brought up, and you have to pay it back. Okay. And his social position. Oh yeah. You had it better than somebody else because now you're the oppressor and you oppressed the person who didn't have a Matchbox car in the sandbox. And since you wouldn't share your Matchbox car with the kid who didn't, and you're a bad person. You're a bad person for life. You don't want to be a bad person, Johnny, do you? So you got to share everything. And this guy over here that looks like he likes to dress really, really weird, hey, he wants your sister. Okay? This is how this stuff works. His national conditioning. Say consider a child with due reference to his heredity, his social position, his national conditioning or heritage, his environment, and his individual mental and emotional equipment, and will seek to throw the entire world effort upon him, pointing out that apparent barriers to progress are only spurs to renewed endeavor, thus seeking to lead him out, the true meaning of the word education, lead out from any limiting condition and train him to think in terms of constructive world citizenship, a global citizen, a collectivist, a Marxist. Growth is still more growth will be emphasized. When you read that, what do you think? What's happening to our kids? Are they learning science, math? No, they're learning hereditary racism. They're learning that their social system and status makes them oppressors. They're learning that their national conditioning and family values have no value. They're bad. Their environment needs to change. And you have to change your mental and emotional equipment. You will seek to throw the entire world effort upon them, pointing out the apparent barriers to progress. Yeah. And you got to lead them out of freedom, liberty, uh, the Bill of Rights. Okay. Your Canadian Charter. Erase it. That's evil. So this new collectivist mindset. So they're teaching children that. Please note, I wrote down here in blue, to modernize what is meant by changing a child's heredity, think gender theories, social positions, social environmental conditioning, and so forth. That is seen in critical Marxist theory. Social equity scores, saving the environment, erasing the nuclear family and national characteristic by means of self-help behavior and modification techniques to make a new human race of good, constructive world citizens, global citizens, loyal to a global governance by continual educational, leading out indoctrination. And you don't think this is black magic, you don't think this is white magic, you don't think this is anything to do with the occult world, but here it is from the occult world laying out the plan and the groundwork. And you study some of these people like Dewey and stuff, you'll find out a lot of them were Fabian socialists, and all this has a root in wizardry. All these nice words enchant you to think they're doing a good thing, but they're doing the opposite of a good thing. That's how demons speak. Let's continue. Bailey's Education New Age, 4950 online PDF, public domain. I quote, when young people of the future under proposed application of principles are civilized, cultured, and responsive to world citizenship, we shall have a world of men awakened. We will have a group of people woke. Awakened, woke, synonym, they're woke up. men awaken, creative and possessing the true sense of values and a sound and constructive outlook on world affairs. It will take a long time to bring this about, but is not impossible, as history itself has proven. As I stated before in several videos back about Marxism, it's the riddle of history they're solving. And so they want to, man was evolved, came into a collectivist hive. That's how they were supposed to be. But materialism and possessions and personal property ruined everything. And now we got to get rid of those things, seize the means of production in order to control the citizenry. You have to control the production to control the citizenry. You can't buy, sell, or eat unless you worship the beast system, okay? One example. Then you're going to be a good constructive citizen, because we'll beat it into you until you comply. You must forget everything that was good and decent that you learned in the past has to be erased. You have to become a new Soviet man and woman. That's what she means here. It will take a long time, march through the institutions to bring this about, but it is not impossible, as history, the riddle of history itself has proven, end quote. Education New Age, page 72 of the online PDF. And I broke down here, sheds light on how this will be done through intelligent, overshadowed people. The ancient teachers of the race, sent out by the hierarchy from time to time, ever employed in the symbolism of natural process in order to illustrate and make clear the needed instruction, lay the spiritual foundation of truth, which will in the coming age lead the race, the human race, she means by race is human race, into new ways and a new manner of thought, collectivism. A spiritual foundation of pure spirit communism, a foundation of truth subjectivism. They want to destroy objective truth and reality. It doesn't matter your DNA makeup. You can be the opposite sex just by thinking you are. It's impossible. Even if you get all the hormones and shot, you're still how you were biologically born. You can't erase that. But they want to erase reality and truth for subjective reality that supports Marxism, utopianism, this collective hive that is controlled by a hierarchy through a governing collective human council to make a better world, under the excuse of making a better world. A feudal system of serfs serving their masters. Into new ways and new manners of thought. Okay, I just gave you a few of them just a minute ago. For the angle of the new education, these concepts will govern the mental attitude of parents in the coming civilization, and for the adolescent must be prepared. Out of all this, new ideas and attitudes must eventually arise, in which will be in line with the coming world culture and concept. World culture. World culture. Global culture. Not your culture, a new culture, a collectivist culture. You're a world citizen. You are now, everything has to be erased. Collective amnesia here. And now you become a global citizen. And now you're a good collectivist. And so you work for free, or you work for, and no different than anybody else. Y'all get paid the same, a mere pittance. And you're supposed to love your job, and you're supposed to be productive because you love doing it to serve other people, because you're just doing it because you got a group love and group because it makes you feel good and you're a good person, and you're doing this and you're doing it basically for free. And who cares about burnout? They have a cure for that. It's called a bioelectrical man. They want to put the AI in you or something to change your personality. Out of all this, new ideas, attitudes must eventually arise, which will be in line with the coming world culture and concepts. The interior impulse to deal with the whole problem of parenthood in a newer, better way is right. The necessity of times will eventually produce radical changes in the approach to family life, parenthood, the training of children, and for this, a nucleus is preparing the way, or can do so if faithful, attentive, and intelligent work is done in the educational system. Okay, what she's saying, she's training up theosophies, training up teachers here. So you're going to be little theosophists, not even knowing it, initiating humanity to produce changes in family life. Hillary Clinton said it best. It takes a village to raise a child. Heather has 2 mommies. It takes a village to raise a child. Parents, the state has the right for your child. The community has the right to raise your child, but in communism language, community means the state will raise your kids. They're the experts. You're not. They know how right human relationships, okay? So that changes in parenthood. You have to give up your parental rights. And the training of children goes to the state. And for this, the nucleus is preparing the way, or can do so faithfully, tentative, intelligent work is done. How's it going for you, parents? You seen any of that lately? Why? This is all brought out way long time ago, over 70 years ago, Think about it. I'm not kidding. Alice Bailey in Education New Age, page 81. Section 1, the objectives of the future education is, I put my definitions in here to help bring out the truth here. So they're in orange color there. 3, develop the culture of the individual in order to make him what? An intelligent citizen of 2 worlds. That means 2 worlds. You learn how to erase materialism by embracing the spiritual subjectivism. You learn how to erase truth and objective reality by embracing the spiritual subjectivism. So you got to balance 2 worlds. And they put BA. I don't know what she means by that. B. Oh yeah. B. A. B. That's clever. Be a wise parent who embraces the new socialist education brainwashing techniques, or else to create or else. And their new educational socialist brainwashing is to make students a controlled and directed personality that the leftists control, end quote. Question, what does she mean by controlled and directed personality? And it's exactly what it means. They control you and direct your life for you. So a wise parent will embrace that and turn you over to the state. New Age. Education New Age, 75, 76 pages out of PDF, help reveals the purpose, and I quote, the angle of personality control. The angle of personality control. Teach the basic necessity for certain great fusions, individual, racial, and spiritual. Okay, fuse them all together. You're you're a communist man. The fusion or integration of different aspects of man's nature, physical, emotional, and mental. And I put down here, in attaining the species being socialist man, Soviet man, collectivist, communist. So the aspects of your nature, you forget through collective amnesia who you are, where you came from. You had it good, though that was bad. You had free speech, that was bad. You are collectivist now. Which has been accomplished, we shall have the manifestation of the integrated elemental forces to which we give the name of personality, producing the manifestation of a powerful, self-directed, high-grade human being. I wrote down here just a note for me. They're talking about making a new humanity 2.0, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. Noah Harari says you're a hackable animal who we want to implant in you that you have a divine nature. You are divine. You are your own God. You have evolved because you're an intelligent being, just an animal, an highly intelligent animal. But we want to upgrade you. We want to control you so you don't revolt against communism anymore. Because if we can keep you from revolting, from taking everything from you, we'll have a perfect world. So how do we do that? We have to make you a hackable animal. We have to put some type of chip in you that will control you so we can track and monitor your thoughts and zap you. They have things now that can zap your brains and give you amnesia. The AI systems can. They have targeted certain people who had severe post-traumatic stress due to combat, horrible combat situation, and literally erase their memories. So they can they'll cure your sin nature to rebel. Not through the blood of Christ, but through the AI. They're not going to be successful, but they certainly can alter your memory. Humanity 2.0, 3.0. This is on 3.0, 5.0. This is on the doorsteps, people. This is not conspiracy talk. It's reality. They're talking about it. They developed some of this stuff. Let's keep going. the fusion of personality and the soul. This will lead to the manifestation of the indwelling soul, the Christ. You're a little Messiah. You're a little God. You're a little divine being. In other words, you're going to be put back in a pure spirit state, little Messiah, in the mind of Lucifer, floating around with the hierarchy, taking care of all your needs and wants. You live in a perfect world, a utopia, or nirvana of nothingness, or the nexus, whatever. A solar angel. Okay. The manifestation of the indwelling soul, the Christ, you're a little Messiah consciousness, the solar angel. A solar angel is a fallen watcher, a demon that oversees the mental development of its charge, acting as an agent of the Moad. A Moad is the divine spark seen in Hermeticism. Did I spell it right? Spark of subjective goodness, socialist, overcoming the bad spark of materialism, free market capitalism, and social order, overcoming objective reality and objective truth with this subjective socialist idea. Now you understand how this works. The manipulation of the demonic world. That's why you have people, I call them political wizards, the wizard class that meet at the Grovey Grove and the Bohemian Club. They meet in islands out in the Caribbean. They got raided not too long ago. Ranches, houses, spirit cooking ceremonies, the whole 9 yards. What do you think they're doing? The conjuring. Jesus says, do not be afraid, be of good cheer, I've overcome the world, okay? And he has also granted us the authority and ability to have authority over all the works of the enemy. He who is in us, is the Holy Spirit, is greater than he who is in the world system. Get that inside of you. Get to know use the name of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, know your authority as a believer. We have a job to do to restrain evil, and the church has dropped the ball. The ultimate fusion of humanity with the hierarchy will be the consummation of all other fusions. Okay? They want to fuse you with the hierarchy, so they call it the externalization of the hierarchy. In the year 2025, in all probability, will be the externalization of the hierarchy manifested on Earth. Connecting with people. Maybe they were the aliens that were taking pictures of in Vegas that was proven to be not a fake video, is actually a real video, these entities. Maybe they wanted to do some gambling or go to a house of ill repute, and they got their GPS wrong and landed in the back in some subdivision. I have no idea what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas, I guess. But fusion of humanity with the hierarchy. So the hierarchy will what? A solar angel, a fallen demon watcher will help you act as the divine spark, of your subjective socialist goodness will overcome the material world. You become a perfect, pure spirit being. They'll lead you and teach you how to do that. This will be the consummation of all other fusions. These fusions are not carried forward as listed above in ordered and sequential fashion. There is much overlapping and lack of balance in the process. But though there may be differences and difficulties in the lengthy process, the end is inevitable and unalterable. Really not, because she goes on and talks about reactionary people can stop the externalization of the hierarchy. That's Christians, conservatives. They are the enemies who need to be subjugated, name called, browbeat, and stopped at all costs. Can't have one of those people ruling the. Can't. We got to call them nationalists. Staying the name nationalism instead of patriotism, a love of God and country. It is that you are a fascist. Well, they are the fascists. They are the common. They are what they call you is what they are. So it is alterable. Alice Bailey in the Education New Age, page 51, PDF online says, it'll be obvious that the very many decades must elapse before such a state of affairs will be actively present, but will be decades, if not centuries, if the reactionary and conservative peoples in every nation can be prevented from swinging civilization back to the bad old lines, the bad old days. What she means is best expressed by getting rid of reactionary and conservative peoples in every nation are silenced by any and all means possible. Did you see any of that go on in the last 4 years in this country? What about the UK? Why are you seeing it? Where are these people getting their power? Why isn't the church gathered up in spiritual warfare and battling this stuff and pushing back and exposing the darkness instead of joining in with the woke crowd and having woke churches and joining in a club? Why? What do you think? Where do you want to stand? In Education New Age, page 32 of the online PDF, she stresses the goal of education is to purify civilizations through racial development, or human racial development, a new human race, by means of training the intelligentsia to make the elite to make new cultural norms through occultic illumination to initiate all humanity, and I quote, the process of unfoldment. I like to add that the preceding analogy, one more, which will serve to clarify the process of unfoldment in your minds and make the entire theme from the racial angle of a new human race. The sixth root race is what she's referring to, which was prophesied by Edgar Cayce to end around 1998 to 2015. It'll overlap, but at 2015, you'll be the mark where we'll go into push a new race. And in the root race theory of H.P. Blavatsky, the Americans and the Europeans will be no more. They'll become a new race, a new race, the sixth root race age stage, which is marked by a worship of an androgyny. You seeing any of that lately? And you can't dare question it either. So, general racial development, civilization, path of purification, which is to turn the human race into a socialist man. I'm just paraphrasing what they're getting at. Training the intelligentsia, culture, a path to discipleship. The elite shape the new culture. The elites who are enlightened shape the new culture, this new world culture. Production of the Illuminati, illuminations. This is Satan's Lucifer, his secret knowledge. Path of initiation into Lucifer's governing light to govern you through secret knowledge and connections and so forth. It'll be apparent to you, therefore, that the whole goal of future and present effort is to bring humanity to a point where it occultically speaking enters into the light, I'll paraphrase, of Lucifer, to be trained by him. This entire trend of the present urge forward, again, the urge forward is a communist phrase. It was Barack Obama slogan, forward. Forward was written, I think, on some communist posters in the early 20s and stuff, and on up through the World War II. It was forward. It was the urge, and the way it was written was the urge forward. Forward to socialism. We're going to create this new socialist communist world of collectivist man by erasing and through collective amnesia, so people will forget the past, only remember it as bad, so they transform into this new mind. Everybody think alike, everybody be a good little socialist person. Obedient. So the present urge forward, which can be noted so distinctly in the human race, is to enable the next race, to acquire knowledge and transmute it into wisdom by the aid of understanding, and thus become fully enlightened. Enlightenment is the major goal of education. End quote. That's the plan. Now, in the introduction of this, I made for this, the introduction, and I think I'll just play it again. And I may bring up the other thing for you. I'm going to play it again and end on that, and then and close this out. Okay? So with that, I'm going to disappear for a minute. Isn't that a nice way to end it? Just read that. Go back and stop it if you pause and read that, what I wrote there. Just read it. It says it all. How many of you ever thought that the occult world, spell casting, is in politics? Who thought the occult world is political? How many thought the occult world is involved in political wizardry at the highest level of thought? All the little black magic people and white magic people who are the neophytes who are just getting their feet wet in it, don't know the depths of where they're going or what they're happening. But why do they all favor progressive ideas and champion them as well? Think about it. Amazing, isn't it? With that, I'm going to be signing off. I'm going to go to a live chat, do a little live chat. I don't have very many people here, but this is late night, but I just wanted to do it. So anyway, with that, I want to go ahead and close out. The contact information, if you want to contact me, is there on the line. You can help support me through the website, which I got to get enough stuff so I can remodel and shape it and make it more modern. And the email address to contact me is there, and support me through PayPal is there. I'll be getting some other things set up. And I have 2 books, Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion, and Heaven Beckons, my 2 new books. Heaven, Land Unknown explains my testimony, what happened to me, and that's why I owe Jesus Christ my life, because I don't deserve to come back, and I know it. And I love the Lord Jesus Christ with all my heart because he saved me. I mean, he was forgiven much, forgives much. Okay, it's true. Then I wrote Heaven Beckons about my experience of being allowed to see heaven. The only reason I saw heaven was to calm me down about seeing hell. And I kept it quiet for many years. Spoke on it on occasions, then wrote it out. Finally, it took me 25 years to write that book. And I got through it, threw a bunch of stuff out, rewrote it, and I was getting ready to finish it. And I had these notes, all this stuff. The whole book was a mess, and I didn't know why would anybody want to read this, because it was a mess. And the editors, I was hoping to talk to them and explain that the book is a mess and help me clean it up and give me some advice. They did, but they didn't understand that I wanted to know and explain to them that the book needed to be cleaned up. I had all these ideas in it. They didn't know how I wrote or what I was doing, because they just saw the rough draft and things I'd lop out later. That's why I had trouble writing it. I just had trouble expressing what happened. And it was so wonderful and so life-changing, altering. And he allowed me to return just because what I saw, and it helped me overcome PSD. It really did, of seeing this place called hell. And I certainly had it, folks. I certainly did. So I'm going to just go ahead to the live chat. So again, if you want to contact me, all my information's there. And you want my books, there they are there. You just go ahead and order them through Amazon or wherever, PayPal if you like to support what I do. Email me, contact me, however you want. With that, I will be going to the live chat right now, just to see if anybody's there. I'm yawning. 4:04 a.m. there. Okay, I got a little early. I was just listening to a sermon on sin by John MacArthur. Okay. Matthew says, I brought your... Whoops, I didn't post those. Okay. I brought your book, Dominic Morrow's and Bill's Weiss. I'm so grateful to the Lord for granting me repentance and rescuing me from that awful place. So am I. So am I. Dr. Spock. I never got a chance to mention Dr. Spock. I'm sorry. But Dr. Spock was one of the educators, but there was another one who was who was, I think, who was a student of this other guy. I can't remember. I think Dr. Spock was the student of this guy. Okay. And Dr. Spock is one of them. Thank you for the name to remind myself what it is. And so this is a really good question. We'll end it here for the night since we don't have very many people on. And I came on, and this will be aired when people can watch it at their convenience. But Matthew 1979 writes, I wonder if demons going up the poles you explained in your book are manipulating the higher-ups now. When I look back on it, when I wrote this book and I saw it happen, I did not understand it. It was when I heard a message about Ephesians chapter 6 about principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness and hosts of wickedness in heavenly places that it clicked in me that that's what I saw. And so to answer your question, after years of processing this stuff, I would absolutely yes. They're manipulating the higher ups. They're being released, conjured. If you don't think people can conjure a spirit out of the abyss, then explain to me King Saul conjuring up Samuel. Was Samuel a spirit mimicking Samuel, or was that really Samuel? I don't know. Scholars are debating that, and I haven't made up my mind on either one of those yet. And I haven't been convinced of either one of them because it is one of those enigmas in Scripture. Did they able to conjure up the real Samuel, the prophet, or did they conjure up a spirit that mimicked him? I don't know. And but the point of the principle of it is you can conjure things out of the abyss. And the occult world has been doing it for some time. Primitive tribes do it. They throw spirits back and forth through some family feud. They do all kinds of stuff. That answers the question. Yes. So with that, I want to go ahead and sign off and enjoy your rest of your evening. And when you get this video, watch it. Have a great day and a good time. And may be blessed and learn about the Lord. And may the Lord make his face shine upon you and bless you going in and coming out and protect you, keep you from all harm, and give you the strength to overcome this evil system and how to use your authority and to take responsibility to push back the darkness. In Jesus' name, amen.